And good afternoon, producer Susan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jerzee Joe. How are you?
I'm good. Are you all recovered from that nail biter of a game with Penn State?
Oh my goodness, yes. And the also the exciting thing is that Ohio State lost to the
Oh,
Oregon Ducks.
so are you the only undefeated team in your division?
Uh oh, that's a good question because Michigan definitely lost too, I think. And
Okay,
now Ohio State lost. So maybe.
maybe. All right. Are you enjoying this fall weather?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I know, isn't it great?
I think this weekend is going to be prime leaf viewing season.
Yeah, no, it's already getting the leaves are turning here. Anyway, we got a ton of stuff to talk about today. I don't know if we're going to fit it all in. You want to hear what we're going to try to talk about?
Yeah, what's on the agenda?
What's the situation with Jersey Joe? It's news and perspective you won't hear on TV. And today's October 15th, and today is 21 days till the election. If you hear this tomorrow, it'll be 20 days to the election. Our quote of the week is from a guy you never heard of. He's an Indian guru by the name of Sadhguru, and the difference between intelligent people and stupid people, which I think you'll enjoy. And our stupidest thing I've heard all week will tell you which medical school has decided to devote 75% of its admission slots to DEI applicants instead of the most qualified applicants, um, even if they have to lower the admission criteria to fill those slots. And we'll tell you which university that is. And we have a run up. You remember our buddy Justin Awad, who does those interviews with young people on the
Yes.
street? We have just a real quick 15-second one of him. Um, Remember last week when we played the clip of Kamala Harris giving that ridiculous, embarrassing word salad answer to the question
Yes.
she was asked on 60 Minutes? Well, guess what? CBS has posted that interview online and both the video and a written transcript, and guess what's missing?
An answer?
Well, they edited out 90% of that embarrassing answer she gave. And we'll talk about when is a transcript not a transcript. I don't watch Saturday Night Live. Did you watch it?
I used to like it back in the day, and now I just feel like the last few years it's just not the same.
Well, you and me both, but somebody said, hey, you've got to see this clip. They do something called a cold open, and typically it's bashing Trump or something like that. This week they bashed Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So we're going to play that clip, which is, when Saturday Night Live, when you lose Saturday Night Live, and you're the Democratic candidate, that's probably not a good sign. But
Yeah.
and in our science and health segment, I'll tell you about a really shocking study from the National Institute of Health on the effect of fluoridated water on the IQ of children, including unborn children, and what parents and pregnant women should do to prevent their children from having their IQ impacted by fluoride in the city drinking water. Um, we have a clip of a black one. There's actually a website called Arrested by Kamala. And she was the Attorney General of California, and then she put a lot of people in jail for things like smoking marijuana. Well, we have a clip of a black woman who wound up arrested and homeless because prosecutors working for Kamala Harris, when she was the Attorney General, had her arrested because of the alleged truancy of her sick daughter, who wasn't truant. She was in the hospital, but they didn't care. They said, your daughter's missing school. We're here to arrest you. Um, I don't know if you've heard anything about, the Kamala wants to impose and Biden. Well, we need to tax the wealth. You know what a wealth tax is as opposed to an income tax.
I know they're always about tax the rich, pay their fair share, but I don't. I mean,
Well, the wealth tax. Say you owned 1,000 shares of say of Amazon stock, and you bought it for $10 a share, and now it's worth $1,000 a share. Well, on paper, you have a paper, your stock is appreciated in value just the way your home appreciates in value.
Yep.
Well, they want to tax the that it's called legal from an accounting, it's called an unrealized gain. You really haven't made any income until you sell it because what's up today could be down tomorrow.
Mhm.
But they want to impose a wealth tax, and Norway did that. And I'm going to tell you what happened in Norway to the people who said, "Screw you," and I'll tell you what the wealthy people in Norway did after Norway implemented a wealth tax. And we'll tell you about a university professor who suggested that men who wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris should be, quote, lined up and shot. He didn't work, he wasn't a Penn State professor, was he?
What was his name?
Uh, I won't tell you his name, but
Oh,
you would have
no.
heard about it. But anyway,
Oh, I don't think so then, because I didn't
all
hear
right.
about it.
And our taxpayer lead shot comes to us from Scottsdale, Arizona, where a homeowner, after 11 o'clock at night, hears a noise and winds up shooting and killing a naked man he found in his children's bedroom.
Hmm.
So anyway, that's pretty much, I think, a given. That was justifiable.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. From the Indian guru Sadhguru. He said, and this is a translation. Obviously, he didn't seek this in English, so this is an English translation. He said, a sign of intelligence is that you are always wondering and questioning things, including the choices you have made. Only idiots are always sure about everything they have decided and are doing in life. Can you relate to that?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, if you never question any of the choices you made, or any of the decisions you made, or things you're planning on doing, then you're an idiot. I mean, I decide I'm going to do something, and many times as I think about it, I think on Tuesday I'll do this, and then I think about it, maybe that's not the right one. I'll do something different. So
Mhm.
anyway, so that's uh, and I got to fix a typo here. So again, a sign of intelligence is that you are always wondering and questioning things, including the choices you have made. Only idiots are always sure about everything they are doing in life. So that's the quote of the week.
Mhm.
So again, it's if you question decisions you've made or plans you've made, you're a very intelligent person. All right. So let's go on to this. In Toronto, the Toronto Metropolitan University School of Medicine will be reserving 75% of its spots in their next admissions class for what they call marginalized communities and will be allowing certain applicants to be considered even if they are below the minimum required GPA, which is a 3.3, which is about a B plus, right?
Yeah.
3.3 GPA.
Yeah. I'd say it's fair.
So, up until now, if you wanted to go to the medical school, you had to have at least a 3.3 GPA. And they're saying, well, we are committed to having 75% of our uh, incoming class be DEI applicants. And even if we have to lower or waive the GPA requirement to do it, that's what we're going to do. Now, Harvard, what happens when you admit people who are struggling to maintain, a 3.3? Harvard did something similar. You know what happened? What Harvard experienced?
What did Harvard do?
Well, they did the same thing. They waived their SAT scores, they waived their GPAs. What do you think happens when you admit people into
Well,
a
I know that a lot of universities did this during the pandemic, and we did it here, and I just saw disastrous results.
right? People are they're failing out, dropping out. They're wasting a couple of years of their lives. They're wasting tens of thousands of dollars.
Because the
Um,
admissions process shouldn't be about how many freshmen can you enroll. It should be about the entire 4-year experience, like the retention rate. Retention should be included in these. They're admitting unqualified students, therefore losing their retention.
right. And again, I think it's a disservice to the students. I mean, because they're not going to lower the criteria to graduate and get a medical degree. So if you're letting people in, number one, a higher percent. Now, in every class, there's always some who fail out. So I'm just going to make up numbers. So let's assume under the normal criteria, 6% fail out. Well, if you start taking people who have struggled academically in the past, and that 66% becomes 16%, well, that extra 10%, number one, you've wasted those slots. That's 10% fewer doctors. Two, and you've wasted a couple of years of the lives of those students you let in who weren't able to make it. And third, the ones who do make it, you talk about graduating at the bottom of your class. What do you think in terms of the average GPA of the students who do make it through? It's
They're
probably
going
going
to
to
be
be
very
lower.
low.
It's going to be low. So I don't think they're doing I think they're doing a disservice um, if they're going to lower the GPA requirement for admission. I think they're doing a disservice to those students because they're going to waste years of their lives and they're going to waste tens of thousands of dollars of tuition admitting people who, many of whom may not be able to graduate. So again, that's the Toronto Metropolitan University, TMU School of Medicine. All right. So we played the Kamala Harris interview last week where she was asked the question about Netanyahu,
Mm-hmm.
and she gave this really word salad, nonsensical answer, which, I think was embarrassing. I think CBS recognized it was embarrassing. Well,
Yeah, and I got to give credit to 60 Minutes and Bill Whitaker because in the intro to that story, he even did call her out and he goes, "Pardon me, but you didn't answer the question."
right.
It's something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing what he
Right.
actually said, but I applaud him for calling her out.
Well, now, if you go online on the 60 Minutes website, you can now
Mhm.
find that interview. And
Mhm.
not only will there be a video, but there'll also be a quote, a transcript. And we'll talk about what a transcript is and isn't. And let me play you this clip I have. It's the merged, it's both the original and the edited version. If you go online, the second clip you hear where he asked the same question is the only clip you will find online, at least on the CBS website. So here we go. Uh, Hang on. Here we go.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it
Now, that's the original word salad answer.
Mhm.
Here is the version that CBS has posted online.
seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
The first answer, by the way, was 22 seconds. The
Yeah.
second answer was 9 seconds.
And so I take back what I said about I applaud 60 Minutes for calling her out because again, at the trailer leading into the show, he called her out.
Right. Well, I
He
don't know
blatantly called her out, and I
if
applauded him for that. But now that they've edited this transcript, I'm a bit ashamed of them.
well, no, that's not the transcript. And here's the other thing. Now, when somebody says I have a transcript, what does a transcript mean to you?
A word for word documentation of what
Aware
was
of what
said.
was said, right? So that is the new audio, the heavily edited audio where they took out 12 seconds of her answer. And when you're in to call an edited written recount of what was asked and answered, it's not a transcript.
Yeah.
It's a work of fiction
Hmm.
because the answer they posted, the written answer she gave supposedly gave in the transcript is a work of fiction because that was not her answer to the question. So if anybody thinks that 60 Minutes in the press is not in the tank for Kamala Harris, could this be any more blatant?
Hmm.
I don't know how it could be any more blatant. Um, Anyway, so that's kind of I'm shaking my head in disgust at the media. But hey, you know what I skipped over? I skipped over our buddy Justin Awad
Oh
asking
yeah.
college age voters because this was the runner-up to the stupidest thing I heard all week. The stupidest thing I heard all week was the university lowering their standards for admission. But here's the Justin Awad um, asking college, voting age people these simple questions. First one, by the way, is how many hours in a day? Here we go.
That'd be an hour make up one day. Around how many hours? Yeah, that's a guess. I'll say 1 hour. Yes. Do you know what 3 times 3 times 3 is? 3 times 3 is 6. 6 times.
You know that 3 times 3 was 6, right?
Yeah, I just had to do the math in my head is 27.
So 18. Yes. If you had to guess, around how many people are on Earth right now?
A billion.
How many?
A billion.
How many dimes make up $1?
How many dimes?
Yeah.
25?
Yes. How many hours make up 1 day?
I make up one day. That'd be
How many dimes in a dollar? And you wonder why you can't get the right change at McDonald's.
Yeah, seriously, cashiers today can't give change unless the cash register tells them.
Right. That's why they all use a cash. I mean, but how sad is this? You don't know how many hours there are in a day.
Yeah.
You don't know how many dimes make a dollar. What was the other question?
3 times 3 times 3. So the first
27.
two questions, honestly, like a kindergartner can answer the first two questions. The 3 times 3 times 3, that probably is what, maybe third grade?
Yeah, third grade. Yeah, 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. You know, and hours in a day. Come on, how many kids don't know how many hours in a day?
Yeah, I mean that is definitely a kindergarten question, and the dimes and a dollar, I think that's also probably at the kindergarten or maybe first grade level.
Well, again, and what's scary is that these are the people who will decide who our next president is.
Yeah.
So, all right, where did I leave off here? I didn't want to skip over that. All right, let's go to Saturday Night Live, which again, typically they open up with, with a cruel skit, slamming Donald Trump or something.
Satirical,
Satirical, but sometimes it's pretty vicious. And for change, they sat and this is a skit where, Family Feud, where they got Steve Harvey, and
Mhm.
anyway, they got Kamala Harris. She's one of the Family Feud teams, and it's her husband, her vice president, and Joe Biden. And I'll play a clip of it because I'll only play a little piece of it.
I can post the whole thing online afterwards.
Yeah, I got the clip. You can put the whole thing online, but here's Steve Harvey asking her some questions. And here we go. Let me find this one.
Okay, I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Yeah, and it's working. My campaign has raised $1 billion.
Oh my Lord. How are you not winning by a landslide?
Oh, that laugh.
That's a question I scream into my pillow every morning.
That's a question I scream into my pillow every morning.
Okay, next on Team Harris is the second gentleman himself, Mr. Doug Emhoff.
Yes.
I'm going to skip over him. Hang on. And here's remember Dana Garvey?
Yeah, oh yes, the church lady.
Well, he plays Joe Biden. Here we go.
Yeah, you do. And finally, on the Democrat side is President Joe Biden.
Thank you, Regis. Great beer on the crew, the family food to do. Anyway, and guess what? By the way, the show's great. I'm being serious right now.
Well, thank you very much. I gotta say, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, because I'm getting my rest. Number 1, I sleep when I can. Number 2, I'm asleep right now.
All right, then let's meet the Republicans.
So
I gotta say, Dana Carvey does a fabulous Joe Biden.
he does. And if the visuals are even better, by the way, the visuals. For those listening, I urge you to go to the website and watch the clip. It's 8 minutes long, and it's hilarious. And they take some stabs at the Republicans too, but I've never seen them go after Democrats that way. So my kudos to Saturday Night Live for bringing some balance back into it.
Yeah, and as I said, the Dana Carvey goes back to the classics of Saturday Night Live, back when Saturday Night Live was good.
It was. Yep. Yeah, I remember the church. No, he was
The
always
church lady.
Anyway.
Wasn't that special?
Yeah, it wasn't that special. All right. So this is a shocking thing, and I'm very, very serious. This is very important. So the United States National Institute for Health, NIH, came out with a study, and I'll just quote you one of the paragraphs. It says the study concluded that higher levels of fluoride exposure, such as drinking water containing more than 1.5 milligrams per liter, are associated with lower IQ in children. And this is particularly important for not only young children, before they're fully developed, while their brains are developing, but particularly pregnant women for in vitro, because the impact was even greater for in vitro. So my very strong, I got a frog in my throat. For families that have young children, and for pregnant mothers, if you're on city water, and virtually all city water supplies are fluoridated, and you can buy fluoride in toothpaste, so you don't need to drink it. Just get a fluoride toothpaste. My strong suggestion is for drinking purposes, making coffee, tea, Crystal Light, flavored drinks, buy spring water. And I say spring water because most bottled water, like Dasani or Arrowhead, is nothing more than heavily filtered municipal water. So just because it's bottled water doesn't mean it's spring water. Most bottled water,
Yes, it's called purified tap water.
It's purified tap water. So I think there's like Geyser Springs and Poland Springs, but my very strong, particularly if you're a pregnant woman and you drink a lot of tea or a lot of coffee, please, please, please use bottled spring water while you're pregnant. And if you have young children with developing brains, I urge you to consider keeping a supply of bottled spring water in the house. And again, not just bottled water, make sure it's spring water. You go on the website and you find out where their water comes from. But there are some waters that say, spring water, but it's spring water that has, excuse me, it's spring water that has come from a municipal water source that is fed by springs and then fluoridated. So please do not, if you're a pregnant woman, please don't drink municipal water. And if you have young children, please try to avoid them drinking fluoridated municipal tap water.
That's an interesting study, because I remember growing up when I was a kid, growing up in New York, we did live in a city where our water was not fluorinated. And I remember taking a daily fluoride pill every morning as a small child.
Huh. I'll be darned.
So that's interesting. So is it that like I'm curious to read more about the study. Is it like at what age? Because they want to prevent.
Well, it's most important during like the first 5 years of life and in the womb in the first 5 years as the brain is developing. So anyway, you'll have the link to the study in the notes, and if you can put that up on the website too. And again, this is not some crackpot. This is the U.S. National Institute of Health. All right.
And our town recently in the last year did actually stop putting fluoride in our water, and everybody was in upheaval. Like, how could you do this?
Well,
so interesting.
If you want fluoride, just get fluoride toothpaste.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth twice a day, morning and night, fluoride toothpaste. You got all the fluoride you need. You don't need to.
And interesting that when you go to the dentist, and I don't know about this is true for children, but as an adult, our dental insurance does not cover fluoride treatments at the dentist. So you wonder what's up with the insurance companies not wanting to provide fluoride.
I wonder. Anyway, so that's kind of an eye opener for me. And I thought, all of our people out there all of our listeners who either have young children or maybe considering getting pregnant, or maybe if you're older and you have grandchildren, pass this on to your daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws about their grandchildren. All right.
That's a very interesting study. I'm looking forward to reading this.
Yep. All right. So let's talk about arrested by Kamala. So here's the backstory. So Kamala Harris, when she was Attorney General, helped get a law passed, and she was concerned that there were too many Black children dropping out of school because they were truant all the time. They wouldn't show up to class. So she helped get a law passed that if your kid missed more than 10% of the school days, I think there's 180 school days in a year. So if your kid missed 18 school days, you could be arrested for the truancy of your child. Well, there's a Black woman in California, and her daughter had sickle cell anemia, which is not uncommon in Black people. And her case was so severe that she frequently, like almost once a month, had to go to hospital to get blood transfusions to put in whole blood because her body could not make the normal red blood cells. And the school, she had notes from her doctor, saying, is going to, that like whatever her daughter's name was, the principal was well aware of this. But the Attorney General's office was simply looking at they were simply looking at printouts. And they never asked the school about, is there a reason why this young woman is missing school so many days? Well, one day there's a knock on her door, and it's two people from Kamala Harris's office, and they literally arrest the mother because her daughter had missed more than 10% of the school days so far that year. And as a result of that arrest and all the time she spent in jail and in court, she wound up losing her job and wound up being homeless. So Now, did Kamala Harris do the arrest? No, but these people work for her. And
Mhm.
as the head of a division, you're supposed to be aware of what your people are doing. You're supposed to get updates. Who is, if you think you're going to be arresting a mother, don't
Mhm.
you think you'd want to have a system like a briefing, like a daily or
Yeah.
weekly briefing? Well,
Yeah.
let me see if I can. This is a long clip. Let me just see if I can play a few minutes from this woman who was arrested because her daughter was hospitalized.
0.4 billion a year in funding.
Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding.
And that's Kamala Harris justifying why she's enforcing this law.
I want money. Kamala then wrote a law making it criminal for parents if their kids missed school time. Kamala even wrote a book called Smart on Crime.
You can read an excerpt from the book that she just plugged shamelessly. It's called Smart on Crime.
Talking about arresting parents for truancy.
I sent a letter on my letterhead out to every parent in the public school system.
In 2012, like all California parents, I received a threatening letter from Kamala Harris saying, we'll go to jail for a year if our kids even miss 10% of school days. It was like a crazy intimidation tactic.
I'm going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought, wow, this woman doesn't have any empathy. Is it because she's not a mother? I also thought, how could she not understand it would disproportionately affect people of color, single Black mothers? But honestly, I didn't imagine it could affect me. Her teachers had her medical records from the Children's Hospital. I even had a 504 plan, which was an agreement between the school district and the parents to provide care for students with disabilities. It was April 18th, 2013. In the morning, I'm in my pajamas. I had just fed my daughter, gave her medications, sent her off to school. Little did I know, there was a warrant out for my arrest. All of a sudden, the police is outside my house and they started banging on the door. I opened up my door and 2 officers entered my home. They told me I was under arrest for my child missing school. They said I was going to jail. I was shocked. I said, but my baby is sick. The school knows that. And they said, go talk to Kamala Harris. Place your hands behind your back.
My mom did nothing wrong. We did everything we were supposed to. I was always bringing doctor's notes, always calling the school to let them know that I was in the hospital.
Then they handcuff me. So they take me outside for what you call a perp walk. And oh my God, the TV news was there. The newspapers were there. You could swear I had killed somebody. It was degrading and humiliating.
Now, by the way, if there were TV cameras there, Kamala Harris knew full
Yeah.
well.
Why would there be TV cameras to arrest a mother who they're claiming is delinquent with her child?
Well, but Kamala Harris, you don't.
I mean, this would not normally be a newsworthy story. They're not going to go and film a mother being arrested for child neglect or child whatever.
Right. So
truancy.
clearly, Kamala, this is not something that happened without her knowledge. She was well aware of this and helped stage it. So here we go.
I was taken to the Criminal Justice Center. They took my mugshot. I was fingerprinted like a criminal, and I was terrified.
And it felt like I caused her so much pain because in reality, it is because of me, even though I know
That's her daughter.
Sorry.
The next day, the Orange County Register showed the pictures of my arrest. They even had a close-up picture of my hands in handcuffs to show here's a Black mother being arrested. It's a truancy rate at over 2.
Anyway, so it goes on and on. You can see the whole thing. It's about 13 minutes long. Well, this particular segment is probably about 7 minutes long. But again, she was proud of this. She arranged for a news thing, and this woman wound up losing her job, and she wound up losing her home, and she wound up homeless because of this. I believe what was clearly a miscarriage of justice. So, any comment on that?
I mean, that's a horrible situation, and they should all be ashamed of themselves for what they did to this family.
Right. And again,
and I don't know if there's any recourse for this woman to sue them for anything.
I don't know. You would hope, but the point is, this is, I believe, if you're the head of a unit and you're going to be you are responsible for what your people do. And
Yeah.
particularly, this wasn't one of these things she wasn't aware of. She clearly, if you're going to have a news crew there, you think she would have done a little more research.
Yeah. And this woman who lost her job, causing her to lose her home, because she lost her job, she probably also lost her medical insurance. And a child with sickle cell disease, this is an ongoing, lifelong, threatening,
Right.
like that needs a lot of medical attention throughout the course of her life.
Right.
So she can't afford to not have medical insurance either.
Well, but if she's unemployed and homeless, she probably qualifies for Medicaid.
Yeah, true.
So anyway, I know we're running out of time. Let me move on. So I mentioned, by the professor who said that males who wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris should be lined up and shot. He was a
Yeah.
professor at the University of Kansas, and and this was last week. And here's his quote that he posted. There are going to be some males in our society that will refuse to vote for a potential female president because they don't think females are smart enough to be president. We can line all those guys up and shoot them. They clearly don't understand the way the world works. As of last week, by the way, his employment with the University of Kansas was terminated. So we have the link to that story.
I mean, that's is he allowed his freedom of speech though? I mean,
but not when you're freedom of speech. Remember, your employer, you can't say anything you want in your place of employment. Your freedom of speech only applies to the government. You can't stand up in the middle of a class and start singing a song.
But here's the thing is that whether you agree or disagree with this man, the sad reality of life is that he's probably right to some level. There probably are some people out there who do think that way.
Right. But to say we need to line them up and shoot them.
Oh, no, not line them up and shoot them. Absolutely not. But the sad part of that is that there are probably people out there who think that way.
Yes.
Not lining up and shooting them.
There are morons out there,
that's a inciting violence.
Right. My feeling, I think I would much rather see Nikki Haley as our.
Oh, absolutely. I would have loved to have seen Nikki Haley go up against Kamala Harris.
But you're right. But I'm sure there are even some moron Republicans, redneck Republicans, who wouldn't want to vote for Nikki Haley because she's a woman.
Oh, yeah.
And those people are idiots. But to say that we should line them up and shoot them, no, that's not how.
No, yeah, that part, absolutely no, yeah.
All right. How much time we got?
We have about 5 minutes.
All right. Well, let's move on to our taxpayer relief shot. And let me see if I can find our sheriff from Santa Rosa County, Florida, who describes, I think, very succinctly why we call them taxpayer relief shots. Here we go.
If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. Hopefully, you'll save the taxpayers money.
All right. And today, this one comes to us from Scottsdale, Arizona. And I think this guy, there's no doubt this guy was well within his rights. Here we go.
Bizarre case involving a homeowner opening fire and killing a naked intruder inside a mansion in far north Scottsdale. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kadiva Devine.
And I'm Mark Curtis. Thanks for joining us. Team 12's Mitch Carr joins us live from Scottsdale Police Headquarters. And Mitch, this is not only bizarre, but really, really disturbing.
Mark and Karibe, investigators here at Scottsdale PD are still trying to figure out how the 18 or 19-year-old teenage suspect ended up inside this home after reports that he had already tried to break into another house that was about a mile away.
Police cars and investigators swarmed a ritzy neighborhood near Pima Road and Pinnacle Peak after getting a call from a homeowner reporting that he had just shot an intruder. Scottsdale police tell us the 41-year-old homeowner was outside late Wednesday night when the family dog alerted him to something wrong inside the home. So the husband and father of three grabbed his shotgun. Scottsdale police say the homeowner found the intruder naked in one of his children's rooms and that the intruder threatened him with a large piece of wood before charging him. So the homeowner fired 2 shots, killing the suspect.
A lot of homeowners feel like if somebody enters their home, they are justified in shooting that person, and that's not true.
Andy Anderson is a retired assistant police chief. He says, based on what we know so far, the shooting sounds justified.
A homeowner has to be able to articulate a threat. And in this situation, it sounds like that's exactly what that homeowner has done.
But that doesn't mean the homeowner is out of the woods.
There's also a civil side of these things. Even though you may be justified criminally in using deadly force, that doesn't keep you from being sued civilly or having to defend yourself down the road from maybe the family bringing a lawsuit.
Now, the biggest question still remaining, of course, who was this suspect and why was he naked inside of somebody else's house? We'll have to wait on the Scottsdale PD to give us more information on that. Live in Scottsdale, Mitch Carr, 12 News.
By the way, that was Arizona. In many states, they have what's known as the castle doctrine, where you don't have to prove that you were in fear of your life. The mere fact that the person was in your house without your permission implies that you have a reasonable fear for your life. It's not.
A naked man, a grown man, a stranger in bed with my small child. Yeah,
with a large piece of wood in his hand.
Yeah,
coming at you with with a piece of wood in his hand. So but by the way, so that's so New Jersey doesn't have a castle doctrine. Is one of those states like Arizona, but in many states like Colorado and most of the Midwestern states, if you find somebody in your house uninvited, you don't have to make a case. Well, I thought he was going to hurt me. It's just assumed that you are given the benefit of the doubt that the person had evil intent. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think a grown man.
Anyway, before we sign off, anything you want to add?
I think a grown man in bed with my kids. That's.
I'm sorry. Hang on, I'm still playing something here. Let me kill this. Anyway, producer Susan, anything you want to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I was just gonna say a grown stranger in bed with my children. That's a threat.
That's a threat. Yep. Anyway, and by the way, didn't shoot him once, shot him twice with a shotgun. So, that's the definition of DRT, being hit twice with a shotgun at close range. DRT, dead right there. All right. Well, we're running out of time, so I want to thank everybody who listened to this podcast for giving up 30 minutes out of your busy day to listen to me ramble on about the things that I find of interest and importance. And I hope you found them as interesting and important as I did. And if so, I hope you continue to listen in the weeks and months to come. If you want to see some of the materials and story links like the fluoride study or the full Saturday Night Live clip, give producer Susan a day or two to get them up on the website, and you'll find them on the Jerzee Joe website, which is jerzeejoe.com. Just remember to spell Jersey, J-E-R, as in Robert, Z as in zebra, E-E, Jerzee, Joe.com. If you want to send me a question with email with a comment, question, or suggested show topic, you know that by sending me an email to joe@jerzeejoe.com. And by the way, that edited CBS clip, we got that from one of our listeners, Terry in Colorado. So Terry, if you're listening, thank you for sending me that edited clip of the Kamala Harris interview. And again, if you want to send me a show topic or ask me a question, it's just joe@jerzeejoe.com. Just remember to spell Jersey with a R, a Z, and two E's. And with that, producer Susan, unless you have anything to add, I'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.